My name is Stephanie. I identify as a femme female. My pronouns are she, her, and I want to tell you the story of Stephanie. At age 9, I knew I was different than my older and younger brother. They wanted to play with things that I had no interest in. They were looking for trucks. I was looking for clothes and pretty things. I like pretty. I made a fuss with my parents, and I wanted a cutout doll that I saw my cousin playing with. It's a cutout cardboard doll, and you cut out clothes, and you dress your doll in different outfits. That didn't go over well, but after all my fussing, my parents made it possible. My brothers and I all joined the church hockey team. Their interest was all about hockey. Mine was about a gateway to date the coach's daughter. We would, of course, practice our skating. I wanted to go skating with a girl, and we did. We would hold hands and skate around the rink, improving our skating abilities. My hockey career was very limited. I wasn't very good, but I did accomplish what I was looking for, and that was age 10 when I started what I call dating. Our families were intertwined with my dad's older sister, and we would swap out kids during the summer school break. This summer, my girl cousin came to stay while my older brother left to go to her place. My mom and dad took her out shopping and bought her a new dress. I thought it was pretty. One night, I stealthily snuck into her room, being quiet while everyone in the house was asleep, took the dress, went into the bathroom, and I had my first try-on. Looked in the mirror, and I liked what I saw. Then my mother appeared at the door, suggesting I should go back to bed. I quietly did. There was nothing more heard of it. My mother must not have mentioned it to my father. There would have been a very different reaction, both verbal and otherwise. In grade 5, we were tasked with putting on skits. I got together with 4 other girls in the class, and they put together a song that was on the current hit parade. They would sit around me, singing the song to me. I was dressed in a white shirt, and they had left lipstick kiss imprints all over the shirt while they sang. I was in heaven, hanging out with girls again. I'm now age 10, 11. I was a contractor to the Toronto Daily Star, meaning I had a paper route. I started out with one, but given my eventual financial background, my corporate acquisitions were 2 other routes. So I was the owner, the proud owner of 3 paper routes, which funded my clothes horse as I became. I didn't like the clothes my parents were buying, so I bought clothes that I liked. And this again is at age 11. In high school, I became very withdrawn. I had this internal questioning. I was fighting myself, the self I was being taught, and fell into the social norms. I didn't have a comparable. There were no trans people. The word transgender did not exist, and I struggled. So I became inward, focusing on studies. I was a good student all through the lower grades and early into high school, doing very well. I would be shunned by cousins when my parents would say congratulations on whatever achievement I had made, and others would say to my cousins, why can't you be more like? That did not go over well. Eventually my average slid to a B minus as I pulled more so inwards and away from schoolmates. Moving ahead, post-graduating, I went on postgraduate studies for a business degree, but entering into the work world continued to be conflicted with that inner, I'll call it itch, Who am I? What am I? In 1985, I reached out to CAMH and worked with what was evolving as a gender questioning group that had just been formed. I was sent a letter inviting me to come before a panel and tell them why I am a woman. Had I convinced them I was a woman, they would have enabled me to come, bring my feminine clothing, get dressed, be with others of like minds in a safe space. I was outraged. I read the letter and said, is this what support looks like? Declining their offer. I could find a safe space at any time without having to hide en route. I dated girls and got into some serious relationships. None of them were successful over the longer term because I lacked commitment, not committing to a male-female relationship when I was questioning how male I was or was not. None of that went well, sadly, because some of those relationships remain dear to me today. With those failed relationships, I continued that dark place, eventually slowing down my corporate climbing that ladder aspirations to marry the person I was with at the time, satisfying parental expectations, bringing along grandchildren, which was a happy occasion. It was short-lived for myself. Others around were very happy. I had again denied my true self. Eventually, having provided a path for my children to be successful, finding a path through college, university, whatever their path, it was of their choosing and their success or otherwise decision. The marriage failed. Divorce eventually happened. It took 7 years. The separation period brought great freedom of expression and self. Knowing what I had feared, I slowly gained the courage to be myself. It was a drawn-out process. I would glam up, go out and buy very attractive wardrobes, and then purge it all when that doubt would creep back in. Society had a way of doing that. Acceptance and passing as a woman were all threats to me. So the secondhand clothing market was beneficiaries of my many indecisions. I can recall at least 3 occasions where I would buy, wear, change my mind, and then purge again. Eventually, and while still married, I wanted to face the fear, reaching out to the church that I belonged to and had spent many Sundays. There was morning church, afternoon Sunday school, night services, choir during the week, Bible study. I went back to that individual, the minister who performed our marriage ceremony. Regrettably, that conversation ended quickly when I revealed my transitioning wants. He called me a pervert. That hurt. My relationship with the church at that time ceased. I was out of the church. There was a medical solution and consultation needed for a path to becoming the woman I wanted to be and become. My GP was shocked in disbelief, but knowing that I was seeking a solution, he referred me to a psychiatrist. That session with the psychiatrist lasted about an hour. It was a very low point of my life. He called me a transvestite. He called me an it, both to me in person and in his report for all to read. I went on to seek out, having gotten back to my GP, an endocrinologist, having studied. Thank you, Google, for bringing other avenues. I eventually saw 3 endocrinologists. The first one was very understanding, accepting where I was wanting to go, who I was. My attire at the time was certainly an indicator. She spoke honestly and truthfully. I know what you want, but I can't help you because I'm not trained in that medicine. Another referral to the guy, the endocrinologist who would provide the path. 7 months went by for an appointment. It turned out to be a panel discussion, having checked in with my male medical card. The first endocrinologist was very accepting of myself, saw the story, saw the interest, saw the fear, concern, but recommended treatment, hormone treatment. Then we went on to see the other endocrinologist in the practice. He asked me one question, stared straight at me. Are you ready for GRS? I stopped for what seemed to be forever, thinking, knowing lying was the right answer. My honor would not allow me to lie. And I said, no, I wasn't. I was wanting to start the process. Surgeries were not in my mind at that time. He told me, come back when you're more committed. Out I went, again, searching for a solution. I found the 519, Church Wellesley, downtown LGBTQ center of Toronto, the city of my birth. The 519 understood completely who I am, where I wanted to go, and referred me to the Church Wellesley Health Clinic, just down the street, introducing me to an endocrinologist trained and certified in trans medicine, much in demand. Another few months passed before I could get an in-person consultation. Given the history, I brought 3 references from 2 friends who understood who I am and knew who I really was, and my employer, who I had come out to. In that consultation, I was handing the doctor the references, and they are not necessary. You're here for a purpose. I'm here to help you. We went over and reviewed the documents. Treatment was serious stuff. I was handed a page that I needed to sign off on, having been explained some of the risks. One of the risks of treatment, there was the word death if you don't follow the treatment plan. If you overdose thinking it'll help you get along sooner, you could die. You could destroy your liver. There were 2 columns, maybe 30 items of treatment outcomes. I signed off gladly, understanding the risks, but also understanding the discipline of treatment. I came out to my best friend just weeks before the meeting with the doctor. He wondered why I had taken so long, and he told me, this is a safe place for you. Come at any time. If someone should drop by while you're visiting, if they didn't like who I am, he would ask them to leave. Nobody would tell him who his friends are. That is a dear friend. My workplace had become a contractor post-corporate, and one of my contractor customers, who I would work in their location frequently, 3-4 days a week, it became known my outward presentation, while still looking male as far as clothing, knew of my aspirations. I got comfortable enough, and one night I texted the owner and president saying, I'm coming in to the office tomorrow as the woman I am. He texted back, proving his interest and his view on all of it. He wanted to know how large my breasts were. I chose not to reply. He chose not to come to the office the next day. I came in to the office as my true self, my attempt in those days of being a femme woman. There were many stairs. I got into my office, started my workday. There were many huddled conversations that I could hear. So I said, well, if we're going to get any work done today, I better go out and confront this. I did, asking, I'll answer any question you might have. There were no questions. There was smiling approval, but nobody spoke. The workday progressed. Later, one of the office members, staff member, came in saying how proud and how remarkable my coming in as a woman might have. The courage it took, and the overall approval of the people in the office, I went home happy. On that positive experience, I came out to friends and family, and those who chose to not accept who I am, I said goodbye to. I couldn't have part-time friends in my face and completely hateful treatment when I was not in their presence. Transitioning she, her, it is difficult for people to change their language and refer to you with those pronouns. I tried to keep it simple. Forget the pronouns. Just call me by name. My name is Stephanie. Some people got the message right away and adapted. Others, it took a while. Some would say, I knew you when. I would cut off them mid-sentence and say, it is she, her. Remember it. Write it down if you need to. One afternoon, I was going to the bank machine, and while in line, a man came up to me aggressively, suggesting that breathing on this earth is something I should not be doing. There was a crowd who remained uninvolved, eyes wide open, staring, watching him push. My inner city background deterred his advances, and he left. One night coming home from the office, a woman in the building approached me while I was waiting at the elevator, expressing her appreciation of who I was. She knew me differently, but immediately accepted Stephanie and the woman I was projecting and had become. That was another positive. We remain friends to this day. I was packing up my groceries one day at the cash. A woman came up to me expressing how much courage it must have taken to be myself. I thought I was passing. I thought I looked like a woman. She saw through it. My first reaction was one of anger, given the effort that I'd put into myself. It then turned to appreciation. I thanked her for her comments and wished her well. I'm guided in a joyful life by three things: family, honor, and health, in that order. Those principles have guided me through all of my transition, and I am thankful. Through all of this and post-corporate, I started my own company as owner and president. My days start early and end late, and it's why I get out of bed. It is a pleasure. It is a challenge. Starting a new company, especially during COVID, but this is becoming a success and something I have always wanted to do, remembering back to those days of my first financial acquisitions, 3 paper routes as a young 10-year-old. If I was to look at myself years ago from what I know now, there would be differences I would choose. Once you get to the place and make the decision on your true self and gender, realizing the risks, pursue it, and pursue it hard, because it is hard. Stay healthy, stay fit. You will need all of it for what's coming. As priorities, I wouldn't do what I did over again. I would prioritize electrolysis. Surgeries are not required to be transgender. You can be trans male, you can be trans female. Surgeries are not required. That is a very personal decision. My relationship with the church remains complicated, given my history. I have befriended a minister in a church that my parents went to in my father's hometown. We share and talk through emails, and the occasional visit. I will surprise her sitting in her church for Sunday services. Jokingly, she would tell me that she saw me come in and she turned off the switch, preventing the pew from erupting in flames when I sat down. We enjoy a humorous relationship. My new life as a woman is a pure joy. I am who I am, and I love being who I am. It is important to understand you must love yourself first. Seeking new friends and relationships comes after. My summer just passed, attending Pride events. It was amazing spending hours with 2 other friends that I have met in crowded streets, shoulder to shoulder with people who wanted to be free in their expression without judgment. It was an excellent day, a day that the LGBTQ community, the queer community, and the straights need to improve on. It outlines what can be and what needs to be. The recent protests in September and again threatening in later October in the fall of 2023 outlines the work that needs to be done, rejecting the hate, learning to love. The TransCanada Project is the platform you are watching this from. I encourage you to like, comment, share, subscribe, because trans rights are human rights. Thank you.